I need a moment alone.
Here we go.
All to myself. Nobody talking, crying, or demanding, saying, hurry up, I need your help.
It's okay, you can sing.
Tony sings it better than I do.
Oh, wow. Woo, welcome to Skip Happens, everybody. I'll let this play for another minute or so. Listen.
Mommy is a mother.
There you go.
Those are some true lyrics right there.
Yes, big time.
What made me think I'd want another, and another, and another. Being a mommy is a mother.
Wish she was my mother. She's like the coolest ever. She's like, yeah, she's rocking. Man.
My kids call it embarrassing.
Hey, welcome to embarrassment.
That's the word they use.
Your son's already across the way here. You wouldn't come on until we call him, but he says, "Yep, you're right." Yep. But hey, it's Tara Shannon, and all the way from Ottawa via Nashville on Skip Happens here tonight, and of course, this music is that young lady right over there. My left, your right, as you look at your monitor, your television, whatever you're watching on. So welcome to Skip Happens, everybody. We are ready to roll. It's going to be a great night. We got Tara, we got Tony Z, and we got Nick out of sight. And over here on my right hand, your left, of course, the president of the Country Music Fan Club here in Central New York, Deb Lamphere. And hello, everybody.
Hello.
Wow, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the well, we're deep in the, should I?
Studio here. Yes.
Yeah, don't be afraid of that mic. You got to talk right into that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you a little more boost here.
That could be
There we go.
dangerous.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Just don't move your hands too much. She's Italian.
It's Italian.
She's Italian, so the hands usually fly, so I have to duck every once in a while. How y'all doing? Everything good?
Great.
Good.
Yeah,
So,
happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you. I'm very excited. I know you were in the radio station today. We talked a little bit and talked about your music and your journey, but I'd like to go over some of that again.
Sure.
Really, if you don't mind me saying, you're the mother of 7.
I am.
And
yes.
here you are with a song on the radio.
Yes. Very exciting.
Canada, you are a household name. But here in the United States, it's like...
Just starting.
Just starting
out of the gate.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
awesome.
It's exciting.
And you're from Ottawa originally.
I am born in Montreal originally, raised in Montreal, and we live in a small town called Russell, which is right on the edge of Ottawa. So it's considered.
It's like a
part of
suburb.
It is,
Suburb.
yeah. Little bit. It's kept its village charm, but yeah. So we've been there for 25 years now.
Really? Big place?
Yeah. Nope.
Got horses?
I did have a horse.
Really?
I did. Not on my property.
Something
down
told
the
me I
street.
should ask.
Yeah, I'm a huge horse person. I grew up around horses and love them. You too?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I was
Yes.
into dressage. I had a beautiful German warm blood, and but I got, like I think we were talking about earlier, I got sick a couple years ago,
Yeah.
so I couldn't take care of him anymore.
Yeah.
So I gave him to my nieces. So they're
But
taking
you know
care
they're
of
in
him.
good hands.
Oh yeah. It had, once you have a horse, they have to go to they're part of your family, so they have to go to a good place. But yeah, Russell is very country like that, and it's a farming community, and we did have official village status, but we just got a Tim Hortons.
Oh, well, we lost our Tim Hortons.
You had a Tim Hortons here?
We had several at one
Really?
time.
We still have one on our side of town. So
Nice.
Yeah, well, you got it in the Delta Sonic.
we do.
So does that count as a Tim Hortons?
Well, I guess we're far
Because we
enough
have
north.
Dunkin' and Starbucks.
Yeah. And they changed the name to Dunkin'. We just
Well,
had this
yeah.
conversation today.
It used to be Dunkin'
Dunkin',
Donuts.
yeah.
Now they rebranded.
Yeah.
And you being a businesswoman, you know
Yeah.
a lot about that. Now it's just Dunkin'.
Dunkin'. Yeah, which I
Going
thought was
to
fascinating.
Dunkin'.
But they also say Dunkin' Donuts. At least all the ones we passed so far have. So
They
Really?
still say that.
Yeah, well, don't say Dunkin' Donuts, though. It's Dunkin'.
Well, when we got our Tim Hortons, it was like a really big deal in our town. So
It was a big deal here in the beginning. When Tim Hortons showed up, it was like, wow, okay.
it's next level.
Yeah, and these guys got some competition, and the competition is good. And then after a few years, and we were loving the Tim Hortons, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think
And
the
then-
kids, I mean, it's nice. It's convenient. I think the kids love it too, but it's like that. It's
She
that
made the
indicator.
kids love it.
Yeah, but it's that indicator,
a
you know,
choice.
from a small
Yeah.
village, it's like the encroachment is coming. Do you know what I mean? You have that
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
where the, big box stores are coming. So I think the villagers felt that a little bit, but I think it's only because we've been there so long. But it used to be you'd walk down the street and you knew everybody, and now it's not like it's so many families. There's 3,000 new homes coming into Russell. 300
Holy
of them are across
cow.
the street from us in this next year. Yeah, so it's really booming.
All right, so a lot of Americans moving to Canada. I mean, why the expansion? I'm not going to go down that road, but
Don't go down that road.
Not that I've seen, but we would welcome you.
Oh,
Yes.
no. Okay, you know what? My ass is in a jam right now for saying that. I'm
Yes.
just saying. But I got you. She's over here.
But it's tempting. I feel
It is.
you.
Yeah. So let's talk about you a little bit. You own a record. You have your own record label.
I do. I have a record label called Willow Sound Records, and I have a publishing company together with Tony's mom, Deb, who's one of my best friends and business partners. It's called
cool.
Syndicate Music Publishing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, you have offices in Ottawa.
Ottawa, and then in Nashville. And
Okay.
then we have a partner in Toronto, too.
Toronto. Love Toronto.
Yeah, it's big.
It's big, but it's a beautiful city.
It is. It really is a beautiful city. Yeah, it's
That's my husband's favorite city.
really.
Yeah, he loves it there.
really?
I like it there, but I like New York better. But I'm from there, so.
Oh, like New York City?
Well, I'm from Long Island, but
Okay.
I grew up going back. and
Long
forth to
Island.
the city.
Nice.
Long Island.
I love
Toronto.
it.
Don't be afraid of talking in that mic here, Deb.
Okay, yes, I'll do.
You
that.
know, you gotta
There
get your
Okay.
mouth right up next to that. See,
You would
Tony
think that
knows.
wouldn't be
Tony's an
afraid.
engineer. He
Yeah.
knows. Not only is he an awesome guitar player and plays with Tara, but
Ain't she kind?
and he's an awesome engineer, I guess.
Yeah, he is. He does some great production work and demos and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. We're going to talk afterwards. We're going to have another Corona.
Yeah, you're going to have the nerd convention. The nerds are going to talk about gear.
There is nothing wrong about being a nerd.
Nothing at all. It's actually cool now. It's
It is.
super
Very
cool to be a
cool.
nerd now. Like, I wish I could be one. I'm so not one. I know I am. I went to engineering school. I have a diploma that says I can do it, but no. All of that went right out the window once
So
I
you're an
graduated.
engineer?
Yeah. You know, I
Like
want
a
to
sound
hear.
engineer. Yeah. Mhm.
Wow. See, that is so cool.
That's the first thing I did actually once because it's a long complicated story, but I got really sick and came really close. I had a very close call. I had some surgery and bled out, and it was
I was reading a
and
little
go.
bit about that. and I
Yeah.
was
So when I was recovering, and I made a bucket list, and I was like, all the things that I kept saying I was going to do in my life that I was waiting to do, and I was going to get back to one day. It just kind of rushed it a little bit. So I only had my high school diploma, so I always wanted a post-secondary. So I chose to study sound engineering and got my diploma in that.
So
Very
how
cool.
old were you when you did that?
I was 40.
Oh my goodness.
And I was in a class. I was the only woman in my class, and I was in a class with friends of my children. They were in the class with me, and it was so hard on my ego.
How old? What are the age range of your kids? 'Cause I want-
The oldest is 26.
Okay.
Yeah, 26, 24, 22, 20. That's Nicholas, who's my
yeah.
tour manager. And then 19. Oh, no, he's not 19 yet. He's 18.
Okay.
And then my daughter's 17. And then 13.
So how old when you went to sound engineering
Yeah.
school? How old was your youngest? About?
So she would have been about 7 or 8.
Oh, so you still had.
Yeah, I had a little one
Yeah.
at home, but they were
Okay.
in school, and but it was it was hard. I was very nervous. It was, and it was a real shift for me because in my world at that time, because my husband and I are business partners and we own a group of companies together. So I was kind of like in charge of my world everywhere. I didn't work for anybody. I'm self-employed. I have employees, this kind of thing. So in school, I was being judged and graded all the time by the authority, which was the teacher. It was very uncomfortable. It was like this, because I hadn't been in that situation since I was a teenager. So it was, there was a lot of anxiety, but they were great. They were wonderful. And now I go back and teach at that school. I'm a guest teacher every
Is
once
there
in a while
anything
at that
else you
school.
do? I mean, are we missing
Twice a
anything
year.
here? I mean,
I always thought
holy
I was a busy
cow.
person. You've got me beat.
Yeah, no
by
kidding.
10 miles.
It
Easy.
sounds crazy. It sounds a lot.
And now
like
you're
I
on
say
what
all
they
the
call a
time.
radio tour, and that's
Yeah.
that's what brings you to town.
Yeah.
And you just don't stop, do you?
Well, I like to live life to the fullest. I think when you have things that happen that are significant and you have those moments where you don't know if, you're going to get that other day, you really reevaluate and you learn. I had to learn balance the hard way. I learned it by getting sick and doing it wrong, and then learning how to reprioritize so that my health and my well-being was first. And then when you're grounded and you feel well, you can, be a better mom and you can fit more into your life, ironically.
Well, and you have a lot of help. too,
Yeah.
I'm sure with your family.
Oh,
being
yeah.
involved.
They're
with
older
What you're
now.
doing.
Nick's
Yeah.
over there
So-
talking about me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm driving.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
I love it.
They really
I
are.
So when did you start the record label?
Well, I started it in about 2015. So I knew I was going to put music out. Well, first I have always done consulting for artists over the years. Because I had been an artist and was offered a record deal and had some experience, and then I shifted my focus to other industries, but people would still come to me for some advice on what to do in music. And so it just kind of naturally progressed from there to be an official label. And I knew I was going to be putting out a record. So being a businesswoman, you said you want to do it. And the likelihood of me getting signed by a by a major label or a more established label, being an older artist and a mom of 7, I don't really fit the mold of what they're really looking for. So, but doing things well in business is just something that I've always done and wanted to do for this as well. And but we run it very non-traditionally. Like the label is very non-traditional. It's a boutique label, but cool. we never own the masters the way traditional.
Oh my God, artists would love you.
Yes.
It's really, if you boil it down, we call it a label and we're a full A&R service, but it's a consulting service more than anything. And we run it as a membership. So you become a member and then we encourage the members to help each other.
Wonderful.
As well. So we put, showcases on where it's like multiple artists on the label on the bill. We provide showcase opportunities. So it's based in the philosophy that together we're better and to counteract the competitive type of culture that you see sometimes in industries and that there's plenty. It's like the blue ocean. Have you heard of the blue ocean philosophy?
Yes.
So it's really that. The blue ocean, as opposed to like red waters, which is like fierce, competitive, more male energy dominated, and it's like there's only so much room and we all have to fight for our piece. Whereas blue ocean is like it's endless. You just you create market for yourself. So it's sort of based in that philosophy or that approach.
So is most of your showcases and so in Ottawa, or have you started all that in Nashville yet, or
we do?
The bridge is
We've just started in Nashville with the writers rounds. So we'll do writers rounds in Nashville. So we'll bring some of our clients and artists from Ottawa and the surrounding area. We have clients all across Canada, and we bring them to Nashville and they participate in these writer rounds. But I had developed a relationship with 5 venues in and around the Ottawa area where you could go to a show and be in your bed at night. You know what I mean? It was within that traveling distance to help build markets. And so we were sort of on this 3-month cycle and we'd bring a showcase.
I love that.
To these venues.
See, yeah, absolutely. But she has a song on the radio right now called Mother. Mother.
I was listening to that before
Mother.
I came over here.
I know. Mother.
Mother.
And I said it right.
You did
You
say it
pronounced
right.
She said
so
earlier
well.
today. She's
So
Mother.
well.
Yeah, some people like we actually got calls from some program directors. They're like, "How do you pronounce this?"
It's Mother. Mother.
Where's
Well,
your
I mean,
hip-hop?
if anybody reads about you and they know your background a little bit, and obviously being you're a mom, it's Mother.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way it is.
Yeah,
Do a little homework. That's all they need to
that
do
way.
is a little homework.
a little bit of play on words there, and
I love it.
yeah,
And it's all about the experience of changing hundreds of diapers over the years. I mean, anybody with 7 kids.
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
pretty much. I mean, Roxy Dean and I wrote it together, and it was like we just, we're thinking of all the common scenarios that everybody jokes about as a parent. Not being able to go to the bathroom without your kid walking in, or not being able to take a bath. So, and then with the video, which got a great response, it has like 175,000 views. So it on mostly Facebook and some YouTube. It just really struck a chord, not just with moms, but anybody who is around nurturing or taking care of others. And it was all about self-care, because that really is the underlying story of what we need to remember, I think, as moms. And what I had to learn the hard way was you have to take care of yourself to be well and to be able to nurture and care for others. So all the visuals in the video, which is all my sisters and my nieces and nephews.
Oh, how fun.
So
Oh, wow.
all the
I was
moms-
wondering about that. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I'm-
everybody that's in the videos.
I'm the eldest so it's cheap labor.
It works.
It works.
Fun
It works.
for them. They love
Indie
it.
budget,
Yes.
and they love it. So my kids are too old now. It doesn't translate. Like if I had my eldest with me, it looks like we're on a date. It doesn't look like he's my kid, because he looks so much older. So I borrowed nieces and nephews to communicate it. But those were all the scenes. Was moms trying to do something to be well. Like there's a yoga scene and taking a bubble bath and these things, and it always being interrupted over and over again by that responsibility of the kids.
Yeah, the kids walk right in. They don't even think twice. My son walks right into the bathroom. But if I was to do it to him,
Right.
oh
Yeah.
man, it's something we don't want to talk about. It's not good.
I know. It's like
It's like,
Armageddon.
excuse me, it should work both ways here, kid.
Right. No,
But,
not so. Not
you
in
know.
there. And you'd think they would outgrow it, but I swear.
No.
My adult children come home and they still just the same old habits. I'm like, whoa, okay, there are boundaries now.
Mom's in the tub.
You're an adult.
Mom's in
Get
the tub
out.
relaxing. Nick comes flying through the door. Hey, Ma.
Hey, Mom.
You call her mom? Mother? He's off in the distance, but go ahead.
It's so warm and fuzzy. Woman who gave birth. Yeah. Hey, you woman who gave birth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
laugh because I have 4 kids.
Do you?
And
Oh.
we've been insane for years, running them for sports and
Oh.
and school activities, and my husband coaches, and we volunteer in the community endlessly. And I was crazy with 4, so I can't even imagine.
It's the
going
same.
over.
You know
It
what?
really is the same chaos. And we did, all of ours played hockey and they played competitive. And it's kind of a lifestyle. It's a
is.
sort of a culture. And so I totally
hockey
relate.
mom is really
Hockey moms are
up
saints.
at 4:30
You're
at the rink
saints.
at 5.
Well, they're saints. There's also the saying, what's the what's the difference between a pit bull and a hockey mom? Lipstick. You never heard that before?
No, I've not heard that.
I like that.
like that.
I do.
So hockey moms are good, but we can be insane.
Wow.
Like the hockey any competitive sport culture. I don't know. Is that the same down here? But at home,
It's very competitive, the hockey. And I told you earlier, I ran a Zamboni for years at a rink, and the parents are like at 5 a.m., they're there, and they're ready to go. And don't stand in their way. Their kid's going to hit that ice.
Yeah.
They get in the stands. It's the parents we're tossing out of the arena, not the kids, if you know what I
know.
mean. It's crazy.
I used to say it's the Zamboni fumes because people that I would have dinner with and be friends with and be totally normal, you go into that setting and it's like a switch goes off and it's not
crazy.
the person you were hanging out with 5 minutes ago, and you're like, what is that? Where does that come from? Like, why? And it's
crazy.
I don't know. I only have experience with hockey. I don't know if it's in other sports.
Oh
but
no, basketball is
Same thing,
crazy.
right?
Really?
What about like
Crazy.
soccer moms and stuff? Is it? I mean, I've seen them. I mean, I never played sports growing up, but all my friends said, and I'd go to their games, and like the parents would get all,
Like
I guess,
riled up.
even, yeah, and even in basketball too. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know. Must be just that competitive thing.
Yeah.
It's my kid. Don't stand in his way.
Yeah. And I try not to be crazy. I had a few moments that I remember now with my older boys that I was a bit insane. But I got mellower.
You know, and I talked about this earlier. We're sitting here talking to Tara Shannon, a recording artist who's got a song on the radio, which is really cool. It's called Mother. So look at it. We'll tell you in a little bit where you can get the music. But, everything you're talking about, and, can I say how old?
Sure.
You're 42.
I'm older than that, but you're very sweet. I just turned 46.
They
Well, you
lied.
do
The
not
internet
look it
lied
at
to me. The
I
internet
love
lied.
wherever you got that info on the internet is fabulous. I hope it never changes, but I just turned 46.
The
Did I turn
internet.
46?
I'm upset. I trust
Yes,
the
I did.
internet,
Yeah.
which is a big mistake.
I'm a
But, no, I'm
73
just kidding.
baby. Yeah.
God bless
not
you.
look that
But
at
see,
all.
what amazes me is you've raised 7 kids. You've done very well. You're involved in having your own record label. You do your own consulting. You're into all different aspects of the music business, all different angles. And you still got time to put a song on the radio. You still got time to go out on a radio tour, which, as I mentioned earlier, that's what you're doing now. It just amazes me that you can do this. I give you so much credit for just keeping it together and hitting the road and leaving the husband home. And it's like,
That's the best part.
did
No,
you
just
tell him
kidding,
we're
honey.
doing this?
Yeah, I mean,
right.
I feel kind of spoiled. I mean, we built this group of companies, and
Hi,
so
Dan.
I'm able to. Hi, honey. I think he's probably at hockey.
Hi,
right now.
Dan.
He is at hockey.
Hi, Dan.
So
Oh, he's at hockey.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe he's got all the TVs on in the hockey rink
Yeah.
down there.
But I mean, I like doing. I feel like I can do a better job for my artists when I experience it. You can always consult with, better when you've been there, you know what it feels like, and you can
Absolutely.
advise better. But I am an artist through and through. And I think we were talking about that earlier, is that what I get the most, from industry as I go down this road as an artist is the confusion of them wanting to me to fit in this one box. And I'm like, no, I'm not just that box. And they're like, well, you wear too many hats. You can't be the label and the artist and the songwriter. And I'm like, well, why not? You don't.
Who established the rule?
Who made that rule?
You're proving them wrong,
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
you know.
Yeah.
And you got Tony Z over there.
Yeah, he's my.
He just
I
waits.
always bring a stud
I know.
guitar player everywhere I go. Yeah,
True.
He makes me look younger.
So you've been playing with Tara ever since the beginning, or
Yeah, I met Tara. Actually, the funny story. Can I tell this story about how we all met?
Sure. I'm trying to remember
Good
what it
laugh
is.
coming.
So Tara and my mom had a mutual friend, and Tara was looking for just a place to stay for a week. And my sister was off at school, and my mom was like, "Well, you could stay in my daughter's room." And y'all met that way, and then I met you, and then we started writing, and we did some writers rounds, and then we just
That's
become
cool.
really good friends.
Yeah, it was pretty instant. I mean, Deb was renting that room out, and as you know, in Nashville, like when I first started going, I would stay in hotel rooms, partly because it was a break from the kids, and I was enjoying the luxury.
A little bit of quiet time, your
Right?
own bed.
Yes, I was
now the
loving it.
truth comes out.
Right? But
No.
the songwriting community, when you actually start getting into the songwriting community and meeting people, they don't do that. They stay at each other's houses. There's this whole thing. Right. So Deb.
I have heard that.
Yeah. So Deb was renting out that room. And the first day we met, I got to her house first. She came in after, I think it was a CMA event actually, and came in after. And we stayed up till I think 3 or 4 in the morning, just talking the first time we met. And it was like, when you meet somebody, it's like that feeling of like old souls. Like,
It's that there's a connection.
there's a connection. Yeah. So
somehow,
we were,
some way.
yeah, instant friend. But then this is the funny part of the story. I don't know if you know who Tony's mom is, but she is, very well established in the Nashville community. She has a very long-standing record. She, did some pretty incredible things. She worked for major labels like Giant and Sony, and signed some incredible acts like the Wilkinsons, and she,
No kidding. Love it.
yeah, she managed, Blake Shelton in the early years and stuff. And so she is an amazing song person. I knew nothing about her. She was just my friend's friend. So here I have this great conversation with this woman, and I'm like a songwriter coming to Nashville, wanting to make connections and build my network and meet a publisher. And I meet this woman, we hit it off, and we're like friends. So because of a few things she said in that first conversation, I went to bed and I Googled her. And then had a total panic attack.
Because you're thinking of everything
Oh,
you
because
said
of
in
it.
the conversation, and now you're realizing what level she's at.
Yes. So you get it
Yeah,
because you've
absolutely.
been there.
Yes.
And so now I'm like in a panic and frozen. So I get up the next morning and I'm like, how do I handle this situation? Because this is supremely awkward for me now. So I go right up to the kitchen. I said, hello. And I said, and your mom said I was so weird. And I said, I really like you. I like you and I want to be friends. And I've just figured out who you are. And I don't want you to help me at all with anything to do with songwriting. I'm not going to play you anything. I'm not pitching you my songs, nothing. I'm just going to go make my way. And maybe later, we'll talk about music. She's like, you're the weirdest person I've ever met.
Yeah, if you knew her, of course now you know her now. That was just like she probably would have been like, that's
She's like, you're
odd.
the weirdest person
Yeah,
ever.
it's like I would have never thought she would never thought about any of that stuff.
But it's that feeling
Yeah.
for me of, because there is so much of this, when you're climbing your way up, clawing your way, and people tend to do it in a way where they're like throwing themselves at people and they're like, listen to my stuff,
Right,
here's my music,
right,
and I'm not
right.
like that. But here I was in the home of somebody who could be exceptionally influential for my career.
It's better you started off the other way.
Yes,
It really is
and,
better.
and now we're best of friends and business partners, and she, coaches. She's got a great ear for songs, so it all worked out in the end. But this was like 5-6 years ago.
There was a
and
moment
Tara
of
got me to play guitar with her sometimes too.
I did. I got Tony out of the package, which
There
is
you go.
awesome.
That's awesome.
So that's how we
Yeah,
started.
actually, that next day she called me. She's like, "You need to meet Tara," because I also tend to wear many hats and everything I do too. And she's like, "You guys are just at that. I can see you guys just hitting it off." And sure enough, we did.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, we did. You're an exceptional writer, so
Thank you.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really
A lot a lot of artists come into the radio station, they have a guitar player with them, but that's all he is. But Tony, you're a writer, not just a guitar player. You're a writer. You're an engineer. You've got a lot more going for you, and you come from some great history. Yeah. So that's really cool. Man.
tell
You
them
should
who
be
your
proud of
guitar
that.
teacher was.
Oh, actually,
go.
For context.
We're throwing names out now.
So there's a songwriter in town by the name of Brandy Clark, and she was teaching at Rob Jackson's guitar studio back a long time ago when I was about 13 or 14.
No kidding.
And she was. And my parents were like, "Well, if you want to have guitar lessons, you have to pay for them." And I was like, "Okay." I did. So I'd take my my lawn mowing money, and Randy would come play. And then she ended up quitting teaching guitar to focus more on her writing. And I'm so glad that she did.
There you go. And you're sitting here.
Yeah.
So how cool is that? Now, even though this is just my little room, but still being on the road with somebody like Tara, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Hopefully you'll say that at the end in 5 days.
I'm
from
so
now.
tired of being with you. I just can't wait. Can we go home
Can we
now?
go home? Are we done?
Excuse me. Yeah, can we go home?
I'll come up with a parody for being a mommy as a mother.
Oh, yeah.
To be determined.
Mother.
Oh, yeah.
To be written.
My bandmates do that at home. They write. Wade Foster's my band leader, and he's a great writer too. And he rewrites the lyrics to my songs.
Wade Foster?
Wade Foster.
Oh, I thought it said Redney Foster.
No, Wade. Yeah, he plays. He was on tour. He toured with Johnny Reed. He was a fiddle player there.
Okay.
And we were in engineering school together. That's where we met. He was also 40 and transitioning careers, and so we hit it off. And anyway, so he backstage he rewrites all the lyrics. So that song that I did earlier, Where the Light Comes In, he wrote it, and it's When the Wife Comes In. And it's they're all parodies. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
And Tony's good at that too.
And talking about your band, you told me earlier you have a 10-piece.
I do. I'm very spoiled. They're amazing.
Amazing, but they're all you have backup singers.
I do. I have 3 beautiful women who sing with me. They're all artists on my label. And so I don't call them backup singers. I call them side-by-side singers because
I love that.
They're all divas
Love that.
in their own right. And they're so Jessica Pearson is a folk artist, and Sam Timmons is a soul country, but soul and bluesy, and Chantal Hackett's a pop artist. And they're wonderful. I've been working with them for years.
Give everybody equal props. That's
yeah,
cool.
it's so important.
It's cool.
It's
I
like-
think it is. Yeah,
the-
absolutely. I
Did
know
you
it
see
is.
20 Feet from Stardom? Did you
No.
see that? You got to
I
watch
have
that
not seen it,
documentary.
but yes.
Really cool, and it really struck me. It stayed with me, and it's a really compelling story about. Have you heard of it? Do you know what I'm
I've
talking
heard
about?
of it, but
Yeah.
is it on Netflix? Where
It is, yeah.
okay.
So it's basically the
Give
life.
me the remote, Nick.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's basically the perspective of being 20 feet from stardom. So it's based on, I can't remember her name right now, but it's a few of them, but like backup singers that sing with the biggest stars, and how they had their own aspirations and their own dreams and careers, and how they spent their career 20 feet from the spotlight where they wanted to be. It's beautifully done. So yeah, our band we try to feature everybody, and I had always wanted that I'd always heard people talk about a band. Do you know what I mean? Having your band.
Right.
And I didn't know that I would ever get that. And I just did a big show at the National Arts Center, and Wade had some surgery. It was supposed to be very, very simple surgery, and it turned into a major surgery.
Oh my goodness.
And we didn't know if he would be able to do the show. And he pushed through, and we put him in a chair. We put him on a couch backstage with a pillow and blanket until it was time to play. And we put him in a chair, and he pushed through. And it was so touching to me, because that's what it is to have a band. It's when
Family.
it's
They're your
family,
yes.
and they
You don't
push
see that a
through
lot.
for that. And I'm not a huge big touring artist. We have some major shows during the year, but for him to do that just meant so much to me. And that's what I was looking for, that feeling of being a part of something like that. And they're so talented as well. So I'm so fortunate.
I see a lot of bands that the guys hate each other,
Yep.
but they do their,
Yep.
they do what they have to do to get through the show. But what you're saying, everything about you is completely the opposite of so much that's going on. Seriously,
yeah,
you got a band where everybody gets together and has a great time, and they all can play together. They take care of each other. You give everybody in your band, like you were just talking about, your singers, they're all equal. Everybody's equal. You're there. Everybody's treated the same. That is really cool.
Yeah,
That is excellent.
I don't know how I would do it any other way. I know it is done other ways, but for me, it just wouldn't feel right.
What Tara Shannon is here with us on SkiP Happens tonight. What do you feel about, what do you think is the difference between Canadian country and American?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know what I mean? Because it's like that you got your separate charts. Well, even here in the United States, you got the Texas chart, and then you got the mainstream country, and then you get the CanCon. So
I think if you further define it by one more category, and we say radio, so Canadian country radio and
Okay.
American country radio, that's at one discussion. But underneath, I think country music is the same, regardless of Canadian or American, because it's story based. It's that authenticity, that three chords and the truth kind of philosophy. When we talk commercial radio lane, American country, Canadian country is I think I don't know how to say this without. I think we're a little bit behind, almost like we're an echo almost of what's happening because it's churning out of the States first, I think, and it feels like we're about a year to two behind sonically for the sounds hitting radio.
Interesting.
And we're so small, like there's not very much, so everything sounds very much alike because I don't know that there's enough room for a lot of diversity. Whereas here, I find you have. You have Americana, we have
different genres
flavors.
of country. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Different sounds of country. Mm-hmm. But you don't have that in Canada.
Not the same way.
Not like
and
that.
Ironically, I'm much more accepted in Nashville, sound-wise, than in Canada on radio. Okay, so Canadian country radio, because my music doesn't fit that. I'm not dead center like that. It's not songs about drinking or, pickup trucks or dirt roads.
And there's a problem with that?
There isn't a problem with that.
No,
I just don't write that.
No, kidding.
I call it pretty pink toes on a dashboard song music, which is fun. And you need that in bars when you're drinking and you're having fun, and you need that. It's just that I write songs that destroy you and make you reevaluate your life and cry and suffer.
We have to think.
You have to think. Okay.
Yeah, but that's real life.
It is. Yeah.
And that the country is real life.
And I wish the medium of radio had more room for all of it. But I understand why they do what they do and why they choose. Because, I don't know, you're in radio, correct me if I'm wrong, but is commercial radio about music or is it about the advertisers? Is it about commercials or is it about music?
It's about making money. I hate to say that. It's a business, and it's about making money. If you don't make money, you're not going to succeed. And you have to keep thinking about new ways of making money. And unfortunately, I got to be careful how I say this, but it's true. It is business, and the music suffers because the commercials that we play, there's always more, and you lose the music, and it's
I
very
think part
frustrating.
Of it, yeah, and I think part of it, I mean, you end up sort of with this, music that doesn't really elicit an emotional response. And if you think about it, that's a good thing from an advertiser standpoint, because if the station can manage to keep you dialed in.
You have to keep a balance.
Yeah.
You have to work on keeping a balance, and we try very hard where I am. But it's difficult because I mean you gotta have the income to pay the bills, to pay your employees. At the same time, you don't want to lose the listeners, so you have to figure out some sort of a balance. And I'm a
businesswoman. I'm all about business, and I love business, and I'm passionate about it. So I totally get that. And you always it's not a perfect science, and audiences are so fickle. It takes so little for them to disengage.
Very,
right?
Yeah. Oh,
and if you make a misstep, and this is true of a radio station,
it's
true of an artist.
Director?
Yeah, sure. Can we play Tara Shannon 24/7?
Look at the rotation on this song, Mother. Man, this Mother is like...
It's like never ending.
Never
it's
ending. It's every hour.
Song.
And another hat in your pile.
But I understand.
No, you got
the
it, girl.
business, so I don't begrudge it because I understand it. Mm-hmm. Do I still wish it was a bit wider? Yes. Do I wish we could have more equality with country women and men?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
The spin ratio, the time of day. So Dr. J, have you had Dr. Jana Watson on your show yet?
No, not yet.
She's a friend of mine, and you totally have to have her here. Did you read her research that was published in Rolling Stone?
No, I have not.
So she's a professor at Ottawa University.
Okay, well, you're going to hook me up.
And she did a research on spins and the percentage of women versus men. And, this whole, is it Ken Hill, the guy the Tomato Gate? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Keith Hill.
Yes. And the Martina McGrath, change of conversation,
yes.
this whole thing.
Yes.
So it was as a result of that.
Yes.
And so it was published in Rolling Stone, and fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So there are things that I wish for. I wish there was more room for women in country radio, but I understand that it will take time because it's always about money. So if I'm a label and I sign you, SkiP, you're signed to my label.
Cool.
Okay, because you're awesome and you
Skip
rock.
Clark.
Skip Clark.
Thank you very
Coming
much,
to you
everybody.
live. Signed
All
to
right.
Willow Sound Records.
Okay.
And I'm investing cash in you.
Okay.
So I've got all kinds of money invested in the recordings and stuff like that, and I'm going to make some of that back through the radio play.
Sure.
I'm going to protect that distribution lane as much as I can.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'm going to develop relationships with those radio stations in whatever way I can figure
Absolutely.
out from a sales standpoint to make sure those spins keep coming.
Absolutely.
So in the time, though, that I develop you, invest in you, and have all that money tied up, and your song finally gets to the radio, and it's finally on, 500 weeks, and it's getting the spins,
500 weeks.
whatever.
Holy cow. Yeah, I've been on the chart for a long time.
You have, because I'm an amazing label,
Wow.
and that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen when you
No,
sign
exactly.
to my label.
Wow.
But
Normally it's
I
25 weeks. You're done. I got 500.
But so in that arc of that cycle, right, I'm still protecting. So if everybody's doing that and it's all male artists where all the money is tied up, the shift to the investing in women, it takes time. To me, it's just economics.
I don't even have to ask the questions because she's just rolling.
She's just rolling, I
got what?
know.
And
Do not
'cause I was
give this woman a microphone. I warned
and a
you.
Corona, and she's good to go.
A mic and a Corona.
Yeah, we might need another one. We'll have to send Nick to the fridge here in a moment.
I told you I was very passionate about business.
No, and I'm loving this, and that is very cool. I was going to ask you about women in country music, where it was going.
Well, how do you feel about it?
I think we need more. And being at the radio station that I'm at and being locally owned, independent, we report to Billboard, BDS, and also Music Row. I take a lot of those female artists and I will play them because they need to be heard. And I think a lot, we have our Luke Bryans, we have our Keith Urbans, we have our Jason Aldeans, and we have actually our Kelsey Ballerinis now and our Carrie Underwoods. But you know what? We need more. We need more females, I think every new artist deserves to be heard. And it's a lot of radio stations, the big corporate type business model, they won't play the new artist until you hit a certain level on a certain chart. And then it's like, oh, well, look what this is, But no. And, I look at your record. All right. You're an independent. You got your own thing. You got it going. Be honest with you, your record will not be played on the radio station across the street.
Nope.
But you know what? It's going to be played on the Wolf because we think that you deserve to be heard.
Well, thank you.
And
for that.
well, yeah, and it'll be on there for 500 weeks. And
Attaboy, now you're catching on.
I know.
That's great.
I'm kidding.
But the fact that you know that
Yes.
you emphatically will say that across the street they won't play it. So the fact that we all know that, right, speaks to the culture of it. And it's not all bad. It's because it's a relation. I see it as a relationship thing. Like a
lot of it is, yes.
Because people, like if I'm coming, like one of the biggest things I had to sort of battle, especially recording in Nashville, is, are you familiar with the term vanity projects?
I've heard of it, yes.
Okay. So the concept of that is a person has, made money in another part of their life. They've always wanted to be a rock star. They come down to Nashville, they throw some money around because they, want to be a country star. So you look in on me and you look in on my life, and it's easy to put me in that box right off the bat. So I'm pushing against that current a lot of the time because indie artists do not typically have the cash to have a sustainable career through many singles at radio over a certain period of time. So if you're at that level, like the one across the street you're mentioning, you're looking at that and saying, well, all of these other major guys, we know they're in the game, right? They're in the game, they're touring, they're playing stadiums. Of course we're going to back them. This one, she may come with this one song, she's going to go away, maybe not. So my manager helped me to see it that way because he's worked in radio for like 30, 40 years.
Sure.
So I was so frustrated and I felt like it was so wrong, right? Like I would get, because I'm investing money in my recordings and the artists I work with. So we should so the music should decide, but it's not realistic. It's more than just the product.
You said the music should decide. That is absolutely correct.
I believe that.
Big time. No, I do too. And like I said, a lot of these big companies will not even give you a look if you're not at a certain point on a certain chart.
And you with a lot of people that I consult with, they're like, well, if they give it a spin and the fans love it and they call in, but that's not even true.
That's as a programmer and somebody in radio, you see. You get these people that call and say, hey, I'm only using this as an example. Would you play Tara Shannon, Mother?
Yeah.
Where are you calling from? Click. They may be calling from Phoenix, Arizona. They're just calling radio stations just because somebody put on Facebook or social media saying, hey, I call your local radio station and tell them to play this song.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
So I don't know why they do
need good
that.
intel. You need good data from
Yes.
your
Yes.
audience
Yes.
to know if it's engaging. And
Yep.
but also too, listeners get their signal from the radio. They get the cue as to whether they should be engaged in that artist from what the radio station says and does.
Right, right.
So if they add it, it's
So
in high
it's-
rotation, listeners going, oh, this is important. This artist matters. Then they perk up and pay attention. So it's not just one way, that relationship. I don't think so.
It's two-way.
It's two ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You
It
know?
does work like that. Man, we got really off on this business thing.
We did.
I mean,
That's
we're talking
dangerous
about
with
an
me.
artist here. Yeah, but I love this. This is one of the best
I just love
podcasts I've had in a
how
long time.
You just know like everything.
Could you put that in writing? Is
Hang
my
on,
husband
hang on.
watching?
Nick,
Dan.
come here.
I know. 'Cause
Sorry, when I
looking
keep
at
yelling
her as
like that, I'm
well.
yelling to her son Nick, who is the tour manager and driving them from radio station to radio station. But
No, I'm seriously fascinated because one, I'm learning a lot about the music industry as we get going with a lot of things. But you, and how do I phrase this? If you were in a mail
Yep.
and you were expressing all of this information, you'd probably be, scarfed up by some big company somewhere. Being female, I am just so impressed with the business knowledge and the background and your talents, and talents meaning business and music and everything that you bring to the table, but it's for other people. Like the artists that you're bringing to the writers' rounds that you're trying to promote, and the songs that you're writing, and the 10-member band that you bring out as a family. You have a touch of every aspect of the music business in your life. And on top of it, you're married with 7 kids. So, and
it always comes back
crazy.
to that.
It always
but
comes
like,
back.
how
I
did
can
she do
so
this?
relate because I work with my husband. We have our own business. We've raised 4 kids.
Yeah.
We've done the sports. We've done the community. We've done the businesses. And Skip and I have talked about, as you get older in life, there's things that you really want to pursue that you couldn't do because you were raising a family.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I'm so admiring you for is at our age, and I am a lot older than you, you are going out there and
She's
doing
37.
doing what you have wanted to do in your heart and your passion, and you've gone beyond that. And I think you still have so much more to offer. And I'm just really sitting here in awe, just listening to everything that
That's
you have
so
to
kind.
offer.
Yeah, thank you.
So-
It's so kind, and it really speaks to. I mean, that really is what's going on in my heart of hearts, is not letting the conditioning of the culture of the industry dictate what I will be allowed to do and not allowed to do, and how I want to do it. And I do have moments where I'm like, this is, those when you're consumed by self-doubt. Tony's witnessed this, where and I'm like, oh my, and you're just like, what am I doing? This is crazy, and I'll be laughed at or laughed out of rooms, this kind of thing. But, when you're sort of, there's a sense of alignment. When you're just sort of your compass is dialed into your North Star, and everything just kind of flows.
It comes together.
And you're just so fully alive. You're just so fully you. And when I have those moments of doubt, I'll say to my manager, Dale, God, I can't do this anymore. Can we just go try to negotiate a deal with a big label? Because it's too much work. And he's like, do you really think you could ever work in an environment where somebody else is in charge?
No way.
Not going to happen.
Absolutely not.
I already know that, and I just met her today. That is
Like,
not going
you're
to happen.
losing your mind. He's like, I'll never put you in that situation. I would be the worst artist to work with that way.
I say that because I'm that type of person as well. I've always worked for myself.
Yes.
And to take orders, so to speak, from someone else or follow someone else's direction because I have to, or I'm supposed, I just could not be in that environment.
We have a very, very similar lives.
Oh, very similar.
Self-employed,
I'm
big
just
family,
Yeah.
sports.
loving this whole
Yeah.
conversation.
So tell, if you don't mind me asking, because you're part of the CMA. So how did you get connected to Nashville? And what is this connection? How do you know each other?
Well,
So
that's
now
a
the
long
interview's
story.
turning around.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks for having us here tonight. Thank you. I'm glad you asked that question. But
Do we have a time limit?
no.
Okay.
I mean, this is awesome.
I'm
curious.
Now
yeah.
they're turning the interview around. All right.
So
Go, Deb.
So, oh my gosh. So I know I'm not used to being the one answering the question here. So a long time ago.
Do you realize your son and daughter are probably watching this going, oh, here goes mom. There goes
I have
mom.
the same thing because I definitely know my younger daughter's tuning in.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we've been going to CMA Fest for over 20 years. We kind of stumbled on it. My oldest daughter, who's now 29, got picked for a lottery for Leanne Rimes fan club party. We didn't know what we were getting into. And the young one that we were just talking to, she was 6 months old. So we took all 4 kids, jumped in the car, and we're going to Nashville.
What an age difference.
I love your family already.
Okay. Yeah.
So we drove down and we went to this fan club party, and I actually became friends with Leanne's. It was her best friend who was her fan club director at the time. And to this day, we're still in touch. She's a great person. Rendy, if you happen to be listening, hello. So we stumbled on that. We started going to CMA Fest. So we were doing that every year because we just enjoyed the whole country music thing. Then I started out being a seat filler, and I stumbled on that because I go to these things, I talk to people, whatever. We started being a seat filler. So I do the CMAs, the CMTs, all that other stuff. So then I was like, I'm really liking this industry, and I just started developing this passion that I wanted to do something with it, yet I don't sing, so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I haven't been living in Nashville, so I can't walk into the business.
We're friends, I can do that.
Yeah, he can do that. So I don't know, I just started thinking about it, and my husband and I were sitting down one day talking, and we just kind of developed this concept of a country music fan club, not specific to any one artist, and going out there and just promoting, well, at the time we didn't know, but we kind of come to the conclusion that we really, really enjoy promoting the newer artists and the independent artists. We'll always support and promote the A, B level artists and all that, but we just love the, and now I'm really cutting it short, but love the relationship that we develop with the new folks coming on board. So lo and behold, one year I said, I'm going to CRS. Didn't know a soul.
That's Country Radio Seminar.
Country Radio
for those
Seminar. I read about it, and somehow I got on all these email lists, and I was getting information. I go, I'm going to go. I'm going to pick up and go by myself. I think my husband had a heart attack. Like, you're going somewhere all by yourself.
And leaving the 4 kids behind.
Leaving him and the 4 kids behind. Yeah. I think that was the whole thing.
That was more of the problem.
That was more of the problem, and the dog. So, but I'm friends with Sam and Gina.
Sam, who you met today.
Oh, okay.
So Gina, extremely supportive, was telling me, you have to find SkiP who works at our station. I'm like, I don't know SkiP. I don't know anything. You know, I was a little shy at the time. I just wanted to go see what this conference. Well, she tracked me down. She tracked him down, and she goes, you two need to find each other. So I don't know how you found me, but I just heard my name.
I think I was running to the men's room.
I hear my name. Deb? Are you Deb? I'm like, who is calling me? So he was there with somebody else, and we introduced ourselves to each other, and we just kind of hit it off. And we've been going to see him at CRS forever. And
it's been a lot of years.
Led me to a lot of great networking opportunities. Nice. And so I was dabbling with the club because I was raising a family, had the business, all this other stuff. So actually over this last year, it really started to kick off, where we brought in some new artists from the area, and we put on showcases here that went over extremely well. One of the things that we found as a niche is bringing that Nashville sound to Syracuse.
Yeah,
we love our local talent. We love them to pieces, but the community wanted to is very open to the outside and seeing what else is out there. And it's just gone over. They just have that feel of being in Nashville and hearing that, you know, real true sound of it. So that's where this first year has brought us. We did that. So now we're working on new things for the next year.
Exciting.
Now he's got me doing podcasts.
Yeah, I said, you know, like, you have to get, because of what I do, obviously, and I've been doing it a long time. I said, Deb, if you're going to make this work, I said, I'd like you to get, you know, let's hook up with me and we'll do the podcast. When I have the new artist in, I said, you're welcome to come over. Let's establish a relationship. You get to know each other a little bit. You can bring, you know, for example, bring you, you know, maybe someday down the road, we could bring you in and do a showcase. Yeah. And it's with the Country Music Fan Club here in Syracuse. And her whole thought, and I love this, the format is awesome. The music's awesome. People like you, awesome. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be heard. Absolutely. And it's people like Deb doing what, you know, what she wants to do and is doing. And it's a tough road, but she's making it happen. But, you know,
it's so important.
It's the relationship. And it goes back to what you said. So it's all about relationships.
Right. Everything is relationships.
You know, and she makes several trips to Nashville. Not only, I mean, yes, she's her son lives there, but
Well,
still.
and I don't go to see him all the time. I
Right,
mean, like,
right.
like you know, a lot of the times I go, I'm going to network or try to meet new artists and things. Like when I go down this weekend, I have some meetings set up, you know, because I really want to bring the talent into our community, and eventually it will branch out from there. But it's just such a niche.
Remember?
I know
Walking
it
through
was
the-
hysterical.
It was
I'm
at
like,
the old convention center when that was up.
yeah.
Like, you mean the really old one across the street?
It was
from-
at the
Yeah.
Renaissance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Renaissance. Yep. That's.
It was at the Renaissance.
That was a while ago. It's crazy
And
how this
yeah,
changed.
that's now it's just a hole, or it was last year. I remember
No.
we walked by it and it's gone. Well, the
There-
hotel is there, but the convention center's
Yeah,
gone.
the convention center's. Yeah, it's been torn down. They're,
And now
they're
you
putting
got the
something
new.
new there.
Yeah.
Well, now you have more family.
I'm so excited.
Nashville.
I will
When you go
be
next time.
definitely when I come down. Well, I'll see you
We'll be
Monday
there at the same time. Yeah,
at the
next
CMA
week.
members
Yeah,
meeting.
will
so-
you be there for CRS? Are you thinking of?
I'm
we'd love
thinking
to.
of coming. Yeah,
We'll go to Bar Lines and get ourselves a cocktail.
that would be fantastic.
I
yeah.
can never pull her off the bar stool when she's there. It's like, Deb, we got to go.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
got to go. We got to get out.
Public.
Yeah. Oh no, I already knew you were part of my tribe.
Listen,
Lou's already going. I knew it. I knew it.
I will tell you, and you can ask anyone that knows me, I am a completely different person in Nashville. I
Yes.
could stay up all night because I just love listening to that live music.
Yeah.
The talent is so strong in so many places that it's, I can't even explain it.
I tell
just love
people
it.
we work. It's so I'll never forget the moment that I went down, and I went down for the first time because I was kind of jaded about it. I was like, oh, everybody's talking about Nashville, whatever. It must not, like, just to say I did it kind of thing. But I didn't expect to be impressed or touched in any way or anything. I got off the plane. I was there 90 seconds. I was like, I love
You're in love.
this
Love.
town,
Yeah.
everything about it.
You know, well, Tony lives there.
Born and raised. They say they call me a unicorn.
But-
they say we don't exist.
Born and raised.
But I don't know about you, but for people like myself, and for example, when I go out to Nashville for business or we have something going on, and that plane touches down, I walk off that
Don't you
plane.
feel like a
I
different
just
person?
go, yes, Nashville. There's something about it. And when I hear hi, this is Tim McGraw. Welcome to the Nashville
Yeah.
International or Nashville whatever airport. Blah blah blah. Thank you for visiting our city.
I know,
You know,
it's
it's
the best.
like,
Gotta
And
love
I
it.
always tell songwriters, when you think that you know how to write a song, you need to go to Nashville and you need to either go to the Bluebird or sit at the listening room. Because the first time I went, I mean, I kind of knew how to write a song, but it was like they started and they were like one verse and chorus in, and I was like, I'll never call myself a songwriter ever again. Like the bar was so far from where I was, and I just felt like I could never reach it. And it's so important when you're a sort of a big fish in your little pond, wherever that is, you need to swim to those waters for a
Yes.
little bit for
Yes.
a good dose of reality.
Yes, you do.
Of how
Yes,
much
you do.
work you have to do.
it's a lot of work.
It is,
It is.
yeah.
And Nashville, I always say that, you may be an awesome artist, but you know what? There's thousands that are better than you.
Oh, yeah.
And there's thousands that aren't as talented as you.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that. So yeah, but I firmly believe that you should go and you should test the waters. You should try it out. Be patient. Things don't happen overnight. McGraw, it was 13 years before he hit radio. He was out there trying to do his thing. I mean, many
on
years
a label
ago.
for 13 years before
I don't
radio
thi-
would play him?
I don't know about the label, but it took him 13 years to get his first song on the radio.
A lot of them, it takes at least 10
Yeah,
years.
and you hear the stories. I mean, Rascal Flats, they were playing in Printer's Alley, and it's just playing away, and then all of a sudden the right person walks in, the right time, or I think they were actually looking for another player. That's when Joe Don came on board. I think they found him in Printer's Alley, and now look at that stuff happens out there, but you got to be patient.
Yeah.
Got to be patient.
But
Are
you
you
also can't sit on your couch.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to be patient and work really hard while you're.
Yeah, oh
being
yeah,
patient
no
at the same
doubt.
time,
I
which
mean,
is
the
the hard part.
Are y'all familiar with Walker Hayes?
Yeah.
very much.
So I used to go see him play at Puckett's Boathouse down in Franklin.
Oh,
He
wow.
Had Walker Wednesday was the big thing down there.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for him for all the success he's having right now.
Mhm.
So, but
That's very
but
cool.
I met him probably maybe a decade ago almost now. He's just now having a bunch of success. So it does take a while, but you have to work. And he's one of the hardest working people I ever knew in town. So
Well, there it is, right from the mouth of somebody that knows. You go to the writers' nights and you hang out and you do your thing. And now, who else have you, Tony?
who else have I what?
Who else have you have you gone to a writers' night and anybody of real big names?
Of course, I mentioned Brandy.
Yeah, Brandy's
Well,
awesome.
yeah,
oh my gosh.
Oh, Brandy. Yeah, I had seen Brandy play at Puckett's Grocery down. Puckett's Grocery is just kind of a staple place down in Leapers Fork. They have a few of them around town, but Leapers Forks used to play a lot. Of course, there was Walker. Now you've asked me, I can't think of anybody.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
that
I have a
happens.
funny
That
fact.
happens.
There have been
Because they
people,
were signed to, like a lot of them were writers on your parents.
Yeah. Walker
Yeah,
was signed.
okay.
Yeah, Walker
Yeah.
was signed there for a while.
I have a funny Brandy Clark story.
Oh yeah.
Because
that's what's funny.
she's like
This is
my
hilarious.
all-time songwriting idol. And 12 Stories, when that record came out, I
Yes.
went into a deep depression because I was like, surrendering the white flag. I'll never be able to write like this. I was like, what's the point? I had those, that moment. So I'm a huge Brandy Clark fan. And so I was down in Nashville, and I was, for whatever reason, and I wasn't dressed yet to go out, and your mom, you were already out for breakfast, but your mom's like, come on, we'll go to the diner for breakfast. And I was like, okay, I'll just jump in the shower. And my hair's dripping wet. I'm not dressed or anything. And I just go into the local diner, and we walk in, and Tony's having breakfast with Brandy Clark.
Oh,
and
wow.
So his mom, Deb's like, oh, hey, it's going. And I am dying, like dying. And my hair's dripping down my back. I can't speak. I'm like, I'm tongue tied. And they're like, oh, hi. And I'm like shaking her hand, and I felt like a total moron. I couldn't find any words, and I just kind of walked away. And that was the end of that. That was my Brandy Clark moment.
Wow.
But I was just, I don't get starstruck very often. And I get more starstruck by the writers sometimes than I do
Because
the artists. Yeah.
because you know what's gone into a certain song. It's not necessarily the artist or the person singing it. Look at the fine print. See who
to
wrote
write-
that
to
song.
write the way she does.
Just whether it's Brandy Clark or
And
Shane
Brandy had
McAnally.
been, and Brandy had been there a long time. Even because I can't remember when she said she moved there, but she had been there probably over 10 years before she started really touring and doing what she's doing now. So yeah,
Takes time. Takes a long time.
I mean, she'd
Consistency.
had cuts and stuff. She'd had several cuts, but as an artist now, she's just touring everywhere.
Right.
So.
Oh, so cool.
I'm so happy.
Next
for
time
her.
I meet her, hopefully my hair will
Yeah.
be dry. Maybe I'll have some makeup on.
I think we all have stories like that.
yeah.
And, I mean,
Learned our
just
lessons.
crazy.
But don't you find that's about Nashville is that, it's you don't have, like, the culture there is the big guns are just walking around.
Oh, they are.
Like, they'll just show up at the bar, they'll
Oh, yeah.
be around. Like, there is a feeling of family that extends through that town, and there isn't that separation you feel in some other genres.
You never know who you're going to see
Yeah.
and where you're going to see them.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
find that
they
super
do.
cool.
I mean, I will say this: they have a tendency to stay away from Broadway, and I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to go down there. I mean, there's a lot going on. Tootsie's, and you got the stage, and Jack's Barbecue, and it's definitely some fun places to go and hang. You got BB King's, I think, down around the corner. You got the Hard Rock, but you go to places on the outskirts of town.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned it earlier, I go to the Station Inn.
Okay.
And that's where early on with Dierks Bentley. That's how I met Dierks.
Okay.
He was playing out there with his bluegrass band, and he was on Capitol Records at the time. My what we call our label rep, we hooked up and we had a beer. And
Nice.
Dierks came right over. We had a pitcher of beer, and we talked. She goes, "I want to introduce you to Dierks Bentley," and blah blah blah. And the rest is history.
That's
you
so
know what?
cool.
And because you met him at such an early part of his musical career, he never forgets you.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a show, it'll be like, "Skip, how are you, man? What's going on? How you been?" Because it was so early.
Yeah.
Those moments mean
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And they remember that. And
You've heard Garth Brooks tell the Tony Arata story about the dance. I'm sure you said that.
Oh, yeah.
So Garth Brooks is the reason why I listen to country, because I grew up in Montreal. I grew up on 70s.
You and a lot of people.
Well, I mean, because my husband grew up on country music, and he only got me to. The only reason I agreed to listen to Garth Brooks was because he covered a Billy Joel song called "Shameless."
Shameless, yeah.
And that was the way that Dan got me to listen to Garth, because I was like, oh, country music's so twangy. And I was like, forget it. I was like James Taylor, Carole King. That was my world,
Right.
And so I listened. I was like, oh, I love this guy. He's great. So Garth was my gateway in, like many people, you said.
Yep.
So fast forward to the Tybee Island Songwriter Festival we were just a part of on Tybee Island, Georgia. They had the first ever. And we were performing. And Tony Arata's from... so for those who are listening, don't know, he wrote "The Dance," which was a huge song, obviously, for Garth. And he's from Tybee Island, so we were honoring him at this festival. And his friend was singing in the same writer round that I was in. I was like the rookie on stage. Everybody else is like Song of the Year winner and Grammy nominated. And here I am, little me with my little mom song. And so, but I mean, I have so much, again, starstruck by the writers. So I'm doing my mom's song. I'm in the middle of my mom's song. This was like the moment of my career so far. And Tony, I can't see because the lights, but he got up, went to the bar, got a glass of wine, walked it all the way up to stage, and cheersed me after that song and gave me a nod.
Wow.
That's like being knighted by the queen
What
in
a
my
moment.
world, right? It was,
What
and he
a
was
moment.
just like, he was just, cheersing me for being a mom and the song. And I got to know his wife, and she's a fan, and so that was a real treat, And it was
Very,
nice that it's
very
connected to
cool.
Garth, because Garth was the beginning for me for country music.
A lot of people, like I said, it was that early 90s.
Yeah.
And, he was coming out, was like, I think he had like 6 songs in the top 10.
Yeah, he was just a phenomenal,
Just like every other song.
a phenomenal entertainer.
And he's an awesome person.
Yeah.
For somebody of his stature, that he'll come up to you, talk to you, shake your hand, ask you how things are going. He's just real.
He is. Yeah, he sent a beautiful video message for Tony that, like you said, they don't forget.
Right, they don't forget.
Because he remembered that song, and he's like, if I ever get a deal, I'm going to cut that song. The minute he got the deal, he called Tony the next day and said, I want to cut that song. So you just don't forget.
I think the country format, country music, and the artist, they're very unique, genuine. They're real people. They're not, I mean, and I don't mean this, I have a lot of friends that listen to pop and rhythmic AC and some of that, but those artists don't take the time to greet their fans, to shake their hands. They're all about themselves. That's the impression that I get.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. But then again, with country artists, and we see it year after year after year in Nashville, like,
They want to talk to you.
they want it. They're like,
They want
Skip,
it.
how's things in Syria? Right away, they come up. They're not, it doesn't matter. Chris Jansen, it could be anybody walking through. I'm thinking of some of the people we've seen at CRS, and they just come right up to you. How's it going, man? How's it going? How's things? It's great. It's great. No other format, no other.
I just feel they're really
Artists would do that.
grounded, very
Yeah.
family oriented. They just have a real life.
Yeah.
The stage life and all that is their job.
Yeah.
And, their job is to entertain people. But when they walk off that stage, they'll engage and be your friend. And they're just a normal. Now, that's one of the things I loved about being a seat filler. Because when I was at the CMA Awards,
I used to always watch for her.
talking to each other, and I'd listen to their conversations, and they're just like us. I mean, of course they're just like us.
Yeah.
They're people, but they don't act, they're not snobby, and they're not rude, and they're not, one is better than the other. They're just all, the community itself, the whole country community is just very grounded.
Yeah.
Very, very friendly.
That's definitely been my
So,
experience too, and so welcoming,
welcoming, absolutely.
which is so it's encouraging when you're an artist at
I'm
my
just
level.
thinking about you being a seat filler.
What a great job! I
know.
totally want that job.
Seriously. But you can't talk to the artist. You can't. You have to sit there and just fill the seat.
We do, but I've had conversation because they will engage.
If they engage,
yeah,
then you
we
could
can
say,
talk.
"Yeah, life
Yeah.
is good."
Yeah.
So, but they're kind. I mean, then they know you're a seat filler.
They were telling, "Get out of my seat." You're supposed to be over there.
So,
That's my
but
seat.
they're really good to the people around them, no matter who they are. So,
Yeah.
What a way to get into the show, too.
It's great.
Think
It
about
was
it.
so smart.
great.
Great. I'm
ticket.
just going to sign up.
businesswomen here.
I know. I'm like, where do I sign up? That's going to be
You
so
don't have
great.
to. You might be on that stage
Oh,
someday.
That's right.
So-
One
right.
day. Can you imagine? Oh, boy. That'd be awesome. We went to the CCMAs this year and just talking about, running into people. So we were at the little radio thing there, and I was walking behind Tennille Towns.
Oh yeah.
She's
oh, yeah.
she's so great. Tennille Towns, do you know?
Yes.
She's Canadian.
No, she's got a song on the radio now, and it's doing real
Tennille
well.
Towns is Canadian?
Yes.
Yes, she's
I
Canadian.
didn't
I
realize
think she's from
that.
Calgary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
awesome.
She moved to Nashville and started working with Dave Kalmeski, who's also
Okay.
Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, and she's just this tiny little thing, and I was walking, and I was like, do I take the opportunity to say hi? Because I'm like right behind her, because I loved her song, Somebody's Daughter.
Somebody's
Yeah,
daughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
She has Jersey on the Wall now, which is amazing. But yeah, so as soon as I just, because I was working with Dave too, Dave mixed my record
Yep.
that's out now. And so we just had something in common, and she was so sweet. She gave me like 2 hugs. And I walked around like on a cloud for the rest of the day. I was like, I got a hug from Tennille.
That is so cool. What do you think is, we were talking about some of the Canadian artists earlier today, some like Doc Walker and Emerson Drive. I know Emerson Drive had some success here in the States, but bands that I think like Doc Walker, I just love. Why do you think they have not made it in the United States? They don't want to, or I don't.
That's a great question. I think it comes back to your original
they're
question
great
about the
artists.
sound of Canadian country and the
Yeah,
sound
maybe.
of
Okay.
Nashville
Okay.
country.
Yeah.
Because if you think of Dallas Smith, it would be the same.
Dallas Smith, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like he's huge
Yeah.
in Canada.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I haven't heard him here yet.
What about Bobby Wills? We mentioned, you know,
Yeah.
he's really big in Canada,
Yeah.
but he has to, I mean, they've been trying to put some singles out, but they're not really selling.
And
They're
so
not
I don't
really,
know how much of it is like a label situation and
Yeah.
where they're signed and whether there isn't a deal or whatever. But I know that there's a sound thing. There's a sonic thing. Would you agree with that being, Canadian country sounds different than Nashville country, in my opinion. And even me vocally, I don't sound country when I sing necessarily. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't have that sound that's country. I feel like I sound more like an AC artist or an inspirational artist. My voice.
That's
But if
okay.
you dress it up with other country sounds, it balances itself out. But I wonder if maybe Dallas's sound is just not. It's not
Yeah.
being taken in.
I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it is because
Because
of
I
money
love
and
some of that
investment.
music.
Yeah,
It's like the Texas country, too. There's a lot of that. I love it. You know, I was a
that's
big,
its own universe.
Yeah, it is. I was a big
Yep.
Pat Green fan back in the day.
So good.
You know,
Wave on wave.
Wave on Wave.
Yeah, it's such a great
Wow,
song.
that was so long ago,
Cody
too.
Johnson's story.
Cody Johnson?
We use that in workshops I teach at home because
Yeah.
isn't he the first independent artist to sell out a stadium
Yes.
in Texas?
Yes.
Was it Houston?
Was it the rodeo?
I don't know.
I don't know, but it was.
But
yes.
And then he got a major deal now,
Right.
but they gave him a ton of money to sign. It
Right.
was not a
Right.
recuperable.
Right.
He just got it straight out. So his, it's like Chance the Rapper and the other being the first indie to win a Grammy. You're
Right.
starting to see these success stories now, and he did it through Texas as his own little universe,
Yep.
and he just developed that market and did his thing, and now his music's everywhere.
You know, I love the Randy Rogers band.
Oh,
Stuff like that. Love them. That's Texas country.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It has its own sound.
It has its own sound.
Yeah.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. But I love that stuff.
Yeah, and I think Canada has something like that going on. I think, but I don't know. But
Interesting.
we have some great talent.
Wow. We've been talking for an hour.
I told you, don't give me.
I've been talking for 5 minutes.
Easiest interview job ever.
And you got 45 minutes. She got 10.
I warned you.
No, but this is awesome and very knowledgeable. And being an artist, being a businesswoman, owning a record label, promoting other artists. You've got a single on the radio, Mother.
Mother.
I love saying that.
Yeah.
Mother.
Mother. Yeah.
What do the kids think about the song?
Are you going to be honest?
What? I don't know if anybody can hear you.
It's an attack. It's an attack on me personally.
an attack.
Is what my son
Mom.
said.
Didn't you call it a diss track?
You said it was a diss track.
That's what it was, a diss track.
What the hell is a disc track?
A diss.
A diss.
Diss. Like
Oh,
D-I-S.
a disc.
Yeah, diss.
Oh, got you now. I got you.
I'm dissing the kids.
Oh, my gosh.
So that, I would say they have mixed feelings, but I did ask if I could cut it first. I was like, "You guys is this gonna bother you if I send this in the world?" Because live is one thing. Doing a live show is fine. It comes and goes.
Right.
Sending it as a single, there's a whole
it's,
other.
It's there.
Yeah.
We have a lot of viewers or listeners like to get a hold of your music. They can go online.
Yep.
What's your website?
TaraShannonMusic.com. And my
Excellent.
socials are all there, but it's
Yeah,
all
everything's-
at Tara
go to
Shannon
the one-
Music.
yeah,
Just
that's the way
Google
to do
Tara
it.
Shannon Music and you'll find me.
You know, we interview some of these artists and they go, yep, you can go to my website, blah, 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 blah.com. And you can also go Twitter at blah, 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 blah. And Instagram, it's hashtag blah, blah, blah. And it's blah, blah, you know, half hour
Just
later, it's
Google.
like, all right, just go to one, just go to the website, all the socials are there. So
It's all there.
it's all
exactly.
cool. You know, it's an honor talking to you.
Well, thank you
And
for
I'm
having
so
me.
glad that they made the arrangements for you to come to Syracuse, did the interview today on the Wolf. And of course, you stopping by the deep in the man cave. This is the man. You notice I have a sign that pissed my wife off when I put the man cave sign up there. You see it when you come down the stairs. You see it says man cave. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. She wasn't happy about that.
Well,
But
it's
I said,
a
this is
really
my
nice
room?
Setup.
The SkiP cave.
The SkiP
The
cave.
skip cave. And if she wants to do laundry, she needs to ask before she comes
Oh,
downstairs.
that's
So
or
I'm
she
just-
should make you do it. If she, I have to talk to your wife. Is she coming home? When's she coming in?
Well, that's all for tonight's show.
Time's up.
But yeah, you know, the song, it goes like this. It's called Mother. Tara Shannon, right here on Skip Happens. We're going to play this. Hang on.
I need a moment alone, all to myself. Nobody talking, crying, or demanding. demanding, saying, hurry up, I need your help.
Sing it, Tony. Sing it.
Come on.
If I hear mommy one more time, I swear I'll lose my mind. Being a mommy is a mother. If it ain't one thing, it's her brother.
I like it.
What made me think I'd want another, and another, and another. Being a mommy is a mother.
This is so good.
I can totally relate.
I need a little sleep, need a vacation more. Can't even go to the bathroom without somebody walking through that door. They grow up fast, that's what they say. So please pick up the pace. Being a mommy is a mother. If it ain't one thing, it's her brother. What made me think I'd want another, and another, and another. Being a mommy is a mother. If I hear mommy one more time, I swear I'll lose my mind. I'm gonna need more
I have a flask on me on stage somewhere, and I pull it out. And I start drinking.
I love it.
If it ain't one thing, it's her brother. What made me think I'd want another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. Being a mommy is a mother.
There it is. And there she is. Tara Shannon, everybody. Wow, that's the song and Mother. Mother.
From the heart.
And,
Deep
and
down.
I could see the eye contact between your son sitting over there, Nick, and
He loves hearing it
Yeah,
over
yeah,
and over.
and-
I thought Adam
Is
Wood
it like-
produced it. He did a great job.
on repeat in the car with the disc in or the USB, the flash drive.
Well, Matt, I keep getting message. I got a message today on Facebook. I was showing you my girlfriend. She was at her house, and her little boy, who's about 10, is in the background, and she's secretly filming him, and he's singing the song. He heard it for the first time in the morning, and it's been rolling around in his head, and he's just saying it out. He's like, being a mommy is a mother, and she keeps giggling, and then he catches himself. He goes, oh, I can't get that song out of my head, and I'm like, yep, cha-ching, cha-ching. That's the golden thing.
Nice. We say,
Great.
You know,
Look at you. If
yeah,
you
I know all these little buttons here.
Wow. We should have said smart.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Shannon.
I love it. We should have said more funny things for the drum laugh track. That's the best.
You know, this is all. I got to show the engineer here.
Yeah.
I do.
This thing's really cool, and I load the buttons in and everything. So
I understand why
just-
you love coming to your studio and
I do
creating.
I do create. I create over there where your son is sitting, and do a lot of voiceover work, and we make it happen, man.
You're following your passion and what you
I
love
am
to do.
exactly because
Yeah.
you never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
It's true.
Exactly. You never
Right,
know.
right.
You don't know how many life
Absolutely.
minutes you get.
That's right.
Exactly.
Tara, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
You're so
having me.
awesome.
Thanks.
Remember, it's SkiP Happens. You get yourself a mug, by the
I
way.
do.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
drink,
well, this
coffee?
is the beginning of a long-term
Yeah,
relationship.
no, it is.
so
It is. And I
excited.
want to see that. Don't go throwing that out.
I will not. I love mugs. This is going to be on my Tara Talk
How many
show.
coffee mugs do you have in your closet? Or
In my
closet?
cupboard. I do have some in my closet. That's what's funny about that. I don't know, probably 50.
Yeah.
But you need
But
to
see,
have
you
the
always
right
I
weight.
know, I do too. You never know.
This one has the right weight. It's got the right handle. This is a good one.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
11 ounce.
It's good. It's a
So
good one.
don't try to put 12 ounces of coffee in there because
I will
if you
put
get a
it-
Keurig, you get a choice of 8 or 12.
On my
8, 10, or 12.
yeah, you need to do the
Then
measurement.
we can put 3 ounces of cream or something in there.
Yeah.
Or Bailey's.
Bailey's.
Or Bailey's.
Bailey's.
Or we
Bailey's
have
is
in
better.
Quebec we have Coureur de Bois, which is made from maple syrup, and it's even better than Bailey's.
Love it.
Well, you're gonna
But I'm
going to
have this on my Terra Talk show on the Red Couch
Okay.
series.
Yes.
I'll put
Yes.
it right
I want
there
to
on
see
my
that.
Table.
That's right.
There we go.
And you can watch that on YouTube, by the
Yep.
way.
Terra Talks.
Terra
Because
Talks.
clearly I do, because we've been here for 42 hours.
We've been here. Wow, that's a whole work week.
It felt like 500 weeks to me.
I know.
Oh, you're such a good one.
Wow. Wait a minute.
Where's your laugh track? Come
Yeah,
on.
there we go.
Boom, boom.
Or yeah, but I'm just or laugh, all of it.
All of it.
No, we didn't want
Good
that
one.
one.
There we go. There we go. There we
Good
go.
job. All right. Tara Shannon, everybody, go out, check out the music, check her out on YouTube. Definitely worth doing. And pick up the music if
Thanks.
you can.
I have serious songs too. They're not all novelty. Thank you guys.
It's all about
awesome.
being a mother.
Great to
And
have
of
you.
course, I got to mention, Deb from the official country music fan club right here in Central New York. And, I always love having her over, and I keep her in the loop as to what's going on. And we're all about making that connection with country artists in Syracuse.
Hey,
So, and we
like us
make
on Facebook.
Yeah.
The Country Music Fan Club. Find us on Facebook. Like our page.
just, it's country music fan club.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all. So, done?
Doing it. Done.
Everybody
Done.
done?
All
All right.
right.
All right,
Great.
everybody. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it was entertaining.
Well, we think we are. So.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. We are living our